Just 6 months ago, despite the pandemic lockdowns hamstringing the economy, America had fairly secure borders, abundant and inexpensive oil and gas, and historic peace deals were being signed in the Middle East thanks to Iran and Hamas being held in check by the U.S. and its allies. And whether you loved Trump or hated him, you couldn't deny that he had boundless energy and seemed to be working 24/7 to make America great again. Now, well, Americans voted for change, and they're getting it good and hard. After less than 4 months of President Joe Biden, the borders are open, and we've got a triple humanitarian, crime, and national security crisis. The Vice President is supposed to be handling this, even though we're up to day 50 since she was given that job, and she's yet to even visit the border or hold a press conference. The fallout from President Biden's first 100 days of insane policies is all hitting at once, but perhaps the most tragic is the flare-up of violence in the Middle East. President Trump, who was assailed as a bumbling amateur by the Democrats, presided over the destruction of ISIS, the corralling of Hamas and Iran, and unprecedented peace agreements between Israel and its Arab neighbors. Joe Biden reversed all of Trump's policies, including lifting sanctions on Iran and sending at least $90 million in U.S. aid to the Palestinians. In announcing this last month, the Biden State Department spokesman declared, "We continue to believe that American support for the Palestinian people, including financial support, is consistent with our values. It's consistent with our interest. Of course, it's consistent with the interest of the Palestinian people. And it's consistent with the interest of our partner Israel, and we'll have more to say on that going forward." End quote. Well, Israel was forced to retaliate after Hamas and Palestinian militants fired over 1,600 missiles at Israeli civilian areas. In response, Representative Ilhan Omar condemned Israel for launching military strikes during the sacred month of Ramadan. And never mind that they were in retaliation for unprovoked missile attacks that were launched on Israeli citizens during the sacred month of Ramadan. Her outrage is, shall we say, selective. Gas prices, which had already been on the rise since January, thanks to President Biden shutting down the Keystone XL pipeline project and targeting America's oil and gas industries for extinction, have spiked to a 6-month high after hackers, suspected, by the way, to be Russian-based, though that's not totally confirmed, after all that forced a shutdown of the Colonial Pipeline. Meanwhile, there have been long lines in the Southeast at gas stations, and many stations were completely running out of gas. We are assured this is probably going to be fixed by the weekend, but it wouldn't take long for a shortage of truck fuel to impact inventories in stores. Oh, but don't worry about the empty pumps and the long lines. The New York Times assures us that those don't even exist. And would the New York Times ever lie to you? You know, maybe our intelligence agencies should have been paying more attention to monitoring foreign threats to our critical infrastructure rather than just to monitor social media posts by Donald Trump and his voters to prevent an imaginary insurrection. I've written several times over the years about cyber threats to America. If they just monitored the Huckabee newsletter, they would have known that. But I fear our intelligence agencies now have no more intelligence than the politicians currently in charge of them, and that is scary. We're also seeing headlines like "Stock slide as inflation spikes," "Oil nears $66 per barrel," and "Consumer prices climb at fastest pace in September of 2008. So with everything seemingly falling to pieces, I didn't even mention the shockingly dismal jobs report, a result of Joe Biden's anti-business policies and paying people more money to stay unemployed than to work. Now, I'm sure our president was burning the midnight, well, not oil, wind-powered lantern to deal with all of this. President Biden issued no public statements on Israel or the pipeline shutdown in 24 hours. Comments from his surrogates have been confusing and contradictory, such as blaming Israel for being attacked or suggesting that the attack on the pipeline and whether to pay ransom are a private sector matter. The Palestinians hadn't fired a rocket at Israel or Jerusalem since 2014. That is until this week. Joe Biden resumed giving them aid money, and Trump's not there. So guess what they're doing? All of this silence and grasping for answers is stirring quite legitimate concerns that there may be nobody home at the White House in more ways than one. Thanks for watching. Be sure and comment and subscribe to the channel below and click the notification bell for more videos. And check us out on Rumble. Now, if you want more of my news analysis and commentary, be sure to sign up for my newsletter at MikeHuckabee.com. I'm sure I've mentioned this, but let me do it again. It's completely free. Doesn't cost you a penny. Now, if you're in the mood for some great entertainment, also check out our second channel, Huckabee's Jukebox. That's it for this edition of The Breakdown. I'm Mike Huckabee.